From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, October the 3rd, 2017. Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Rami Hamdallah led the weekly meeting of his cabinet in Gaza today. This is the first PA cabinet session held in the enclave in 3 years, and it is part of Hamdallah's visit to try and further efforts towards reconciliation with rival faction Hamas, who controls Gaza and has been in conflict with Fatah, the party of the Palestinian Authority, for a decade. Yesterday, the United States said it welcomes the efforts towards Palestinian unity. U.S. Special Representative for International Negotiations Jason Greenblatt, who is in Israel at present, said we will be watching these developments closely while pressing forward with the Palestinian Authority, Israel, and international donors to try to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Greenblatt also said that the U.S. stresses that any Palestinian government must reject violence and recognize Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sent a similar message. He said while visiting the West Bank Jewish city of Ma'ale Adumim today that any reconciliation would have to include Hamas, which is listed by Israel and the U.S. as a terror group, recognizing Israel's right to exist, as well as dismantling its military wing and cutting off all its ties with Iran. Netanyahu said we are not prepared to accept bogus reconciliations in which the Palestinian side apparently reconciles at the expense of our existence. Israel announced a particularly long closure of the West Bank and Gaza Strip ahead of the Sukkot holiday. While such closures are routine, they are normally shorter. However, today's announcement comes on the heels of the deadly terror attack in Har Adar, just outside Jerusalem last week, in which 3 Israelis were murdered by a Palestinian worker. The IDF said that as always, during the closure for Sukkot, Palestinians in humanitarian, medical, and exceptional cases, with the approval of the Defense Ministry's coordinator of government activities in the territories, will be allowed to enter Israel. The order goes into effect tomorrow at midnight in Israel local time. Jewish neuroscientist Michael Rosbash was awarded the Nobel Prize for Medicine. The 74-year-old Brandeis professor was one of 3 American scientists acknowledged for their discoveries about molecular mechanisms that control the body's biological inner clock. Rosbash's parents were immigrants who fled Nazi Germany in 1938. His father was a cantor in Massachusetts. The Polin Museum of the History of Polish Jews was honored in a special ceremony last month in Warsaw. The museum received the Europa Nostra Prize for a Jewish cultural heritage educational project. The award is given by the European Union in recognition of the promotion of Europe's cultural heritage. A total of 29 laureates from 18 countries were honored this year. The museum is the first Polish institution to win the prize. The Europa Nostra jury said of its decision that the museum, in aiming to educate and conserve the memory of Jewish people, has established a safe place for intercultural dialogue. Well, Israeli rescuers are once again on the ground to lend assistance, this week in Puerto Rico. As we reported to you last Thursday, a team of 71 Israeli soldiers returned to Israel from its relief and rescue work in Mexico after the devastating earthquake there. Soon after, Israel sent a team to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria struck there. The emergency response team includes members of Israeli humanitarian relief agency IsraAid, who is distributing and setting up water filters as well as hygiene kits and food and offering psychological help. The American Jewish Committee is partnering with IsraAid, and other Jewish groups are lending a hand as well, like the UJA Federation of New York, who delivered a plane load of humanitarian supplies to Puerto Rico's Jewish Community Center on Sunday to distribute for those in need. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, October the 3rd at 7 o'clock, author Anita Diamond talks about her book, Boston Girl. At 7:30, leading Holocaust historian and author Deborah Lipstadt delivers the keynote address at the recent conference on local and global anti-Semitism chaired by former Congressman Steve Israel at Long Island University. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Convenient Hatred author Phyllis Goldstein on L'chaim, and at 10, it's episode 1 of the award-winning Israeli miniseries A Touch Away. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, the news debate program, Frenemies. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, October the 3rd, 2017. I'm Teisha Bader.